Okay, so how has it all started? How everything came together. LIVEST, to live or to invest, you can count on us. This real estate brand that has just hit in the market. So it all started actually in a personal story. It was my story. You can rewire to 6 years ago. This young lawyer was graduating from law school in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. I had a chance to work for about 2 years as a civil lawyer there, and I was unhappy. The truth is that I was envisioning my career path and I was not satisfied with it at all. And I had already had a personal story with traveling, with backpacking, with relocating to other countries. And then I started to search. I started to seek my journey. And then I relocated. I went and lived in Mexico, in the US. And then I eventually found myself in Portugal, and I fell in love with this country. That's when it all happened. I realized that as a young tenant looking for a place for my own in Lisbon, where I was based at on those times, I was really vulnerable. Tenants and buyers are really vulnerable in this country. Then I started to study the real estate market, to find solutions for myself, where I could live, how that could work. And that's when something clicked. Everything made sense. Everything came together when I realized that that was the niche, that was the industry I was passionate about, because there was just so much knowledge people should be aware of. Tenants should be aware of when they are going to make a transaction. And there was also so much room to investment, to making money, if only people knew about it. Eventually, it all clicked for me because I was looking for this thing. I just didn't know what it was and where it was going to be. And then I found myself and my passion in being a real estate agent in Portugal and in living in this amazing country where you can see that we are in the middle of the winter and the sun is shining, the waves are flowing, and business are going very well. Okay, so then I digged into this market. Real estate market in Portugal, booming, super heated up, a lot of transactions going on, a lot of things going on. And then I entered two very nice, interesting brands, American brands, Coldwell Banker and The Agency. I spent a decent amount of time there. I learned a lot, did a lot of clients, did a lot of high-end properties, by the way, until I found my own concept of what is the luxury market and what does that even mean, you know. I realized that I wanted to create a brand that was far beyond what people call luxury. That was a lot more related to developing value and quality in all senses, delivering support and guidance to the buyer, to the property owner throughout the whole process, rather than just showing the properties and showing off these properties around. That's when LIVEST started to make sense. So one of the most traditional questions people ask is, what is the brand vision, mission, values, goals, whatever? All of these questions are very interesting. I love them. I have them written, you know, on my personal pages, but they might not matter that much for you. The most important question for you as my client is, what are you gonna get from this interaction, and how are you gonna feel throughout the whole process? This is one of my key goals. You know what? If I was supposed to answer what are my goals, one of them would definitely be to allow my clients to feel confident, you know, confident throughout the whole process. Because you're buying property, you have to understand the process from scratch, you know, from the beginning to the middle to the end. You gotta be confident in the process, and you gotta be confident in the professionals like myself, like the other realtors that work with me. You gotta be confident and trustful that we are loyal to you, that we are explaining everything to you, that we are gonna solve eventual issues that might come throughout the way. So not only you have to feel confident in the process, but you also should feel understood. You should feel exclusive, right? Because you're not just another buyer. you are a buyer. You are the buyer of your life, right? So you want to make sure that people are listening to what you want, what you need. A good realtor might come up with an answer, a solution that you might not even have thought of, you know what I mean? Because they know the market. We know the market probably better than you do, because we do that every day, every time, you know what I mean? So you might want to feel really listened to. Even sometimes things that you're talking, behind what you're talking, you might be hiding an even deeper desire, an even deeper real estate expectation that a good realtor actually listening to what you're saying might suggest a solution to. So yeah, that's it. And last but not least, you might want to feel excited. Okay, I want you to feel excited because this is a very exciting next chapter of your life. But actually, the two sides of the same coin is feeling excited or feeling stressful. You know, it's up to you, because this is also a very hard thing to do. You know, buying property in Portugal can be extremely bureaucratic, can be a pain, you know, and you might want to be sure that you are accompanied by the best who are going to fix whatever happens, right? So I usually think about real estate transactions as dancing ballet. You know, I used to be a ballerina when I was younger, and I see one thing in common. When you're dealing with real estate and when you're dancing ballet or other dances, one of your key goals is to make it look like it is easy. It is not easy, but the audience or your client has to feel it is easy, has to feel it is a pleasurable, pleasing process. But you know what? Behind that ballerina, behind that real estate transaction, there's a lot of practice, a lot of expertise, a lot of day-to-day work for things to flow. And so even though it might look easy and it might look like something that you can do yourself, you might want to make sure that this is an exciting process and not a stressful one. So we're talking about a really competitive market, right? It's some people could say it's a saturated market. So at the end of the day, how does LIVEST differentiate itself in this market? So it's not that difficult. It's not that complicated, to be honest, because I think that at the end of the day, the market is full of more of the same thing. You know what I mean? There are lots of brands, a lot of people who want to make money, who want to create a real estate brand, who go there and get a license and start to list properties and put them for sale. But at the end of the day, how many really good professionals do you remember? You know, at the end of the day, how many really good professionals you consider like the word, like as an authority word? Are they experienced enough? Are they willing to accompany you throughout the whole transaction, from pre-sales to sales and to the post-sales stages? So at the end of the day, when it comes to this specialization, this level of specializations, there are not so many brands that are willing to do that. And I think that this is one of the pillars of how LIVEST differentiates itself. Another pillar is also the fact that we not only are a respectful and serious brand, we're also young and cool. You know, so at the end of the day, we're here to make businesses. We're here to help you go through one of the most important transactions of your life, which is to buy property, a home, or investment. But we're still people. We're gonna sit and talk to you, you know, eye on eye, be honest with you, accompany you with that. So I think that what differentiates LIVEST in this market is being a brand of people. People of high value, delivering good content, guidance, and support to people who actually appreciate that. And that's the scarce. You know, that's the scarce, because what supports that is a lot of time, it's a lot of engagement, it's a lot of interactions. So you have this unnegotiable, unmaterial element of dedication, of commitment that goes behind our bond. So that's it. I'm very glad to do that. And I hope that you are one of our next clients. Woo! Gostei! Mas é difícil pra cacete. Sim. Vendas, fazer conteúdo, ter consistência, né? Você tá ali, parece que é fácil, mas não é, cara. Não é pra poucos.